Welcome to Advice from the Deal Room. I'm Ben Record.
Matt Russell.
And today, Matt, what are we talking about?
HUD financing. It's been a
HUD
popular
financing.
conversation lately out there, mainly because of the rates, the rate environment we're in, and the additional proceeds you can get with HUD.
I feel like for exactly those reasons, that's why we should tell our clients a little bit more about it and share a story of a deal you're currently working on.
So we have a deal that we've been working on for years. Again, we like these multi-phase projects. So we help the investor developer develop out phase one of a quadplex project.
Okay.
43 units. The last one is a triplex. And so we built it through conventional financing, through just a construction loan. Then we took it out through another conventional lender to get some proceeds out of that so they could help get some money into phase two.
Phase two.
Phase two is just completed construction, certificate occupancies across every building, and that's 36 units. And so now they're looking to go into phase three. Phase three is another 36 units. So they're looking to get some financing, some capital back to be able to get their equity into phase three on top of their land equity and other equity they already have. So I started talking to them about HUD back at the end of last year, fourth quarter last year, because we have another client that we've done a multi-phase project, which we've talked on a previous podcast where we're rolling all of it to HUD. So I mentioned HUD to them. We started running the numbers and came up with this will be a very good viable option for them to be able to do refinancing for and get some up to $1.7, $1.8 million of equity out at the interest rate environment at that time. So we put together the file, worked with our conduit into HUD, and started working through the file. I think everything got submitted to them October, November last year.
Okay.
So started working through all that.
So it's been a process.
It's in HUD's a process. HUD does take longer, and we want to be you need to be cognitive of the time frame in HUD. There's just a lot more reporting requirements up front to be able to get the approval from the lender than to be able to submit to HUD.
So you're generally probably using it for refinances like we're talking about, or maybe a construction.
That's a 223F program. There is also there's construction programs, there's other supplemental programs, but today we're just going to talk about the refinance program. It's a 35-year fixed rate. That's the advantage. It's the easier way to say it is a margin above 10-year Treasury.
Okay.
They run it at a 7% vacancy, so it's not the 5% you're typically getting conventional or other financing, but they run it off of 7%. There is a mortgage insurance premium you do have to pay with HUD, so you're getting a rate plus a quarter point for mortgage insurance premium. I think it was last year they changed it from they had a green program and a non-green program for mortgage insurance. And green was 0.25 and non-green was 0.6% annual mortgage insurance premium. They wiped away the green and just moved everybody to the 0.25, which saves all the fun green qualifications that properties were going through at the time.
All those circus hoops you got to jump through.
Yes. And then if you want to qualify for green, the extra, $40,000 to qualify for green. So all those things are now out of the mix. So we're able to take a look at this project. The nice thing was already stabilized. So that helps out a lot. That helped out the time frame on this. I'll say if you're not stabilized yet, you're waiting to get the stabilization and getting the right T3 to get there. So we were able to get it submitted, get the appraisal going, appraisal turn time. You have so many days to be able to submit it to HUD after the site visit for approval.
Okay.
So the lender's got to approve it first with all the other reports. So it's really timing up reports and everything. But the lender that we work with on this is so in tune and they're a machine. They run this thing very, very well when it comes to getting everything timed out and making the process less onerous. We've worked with other HUD lenders before, and the process is more onerous on us or at least dumped on us all at the same time, compared to this one was just broken up over a shorter amount of time. 1 month this, next month this. It wasn't like, hey, here's everything up front. And you're like, what in the world do I got to do?
Right.
So we're able to walk them through the process. We got approval from the HUD lender, I believe it was in March. And by the end of April, we had approval from HUD.
Okay.
With HUD, you have 6 months to close it after you got your approval. So when you're out there with HUD, your rate is floating until you rate lock it.
Okay.
So they recommend to rate lock no later than 4 months after your approval, because there's still all the closing time.
There's still the
frame.
final
There's
closing
a lot
hoops.
of hoops to jump through in the closing side of things. So when you're able to get it get that rate lock, you still have to, there's legal paperwork, loan documents, all this stuff, but they're working on a lot of that stuff as you're getting ready to rate lock, so we can try to save some time in the back end. But neither here nor there, they still want to give that cushion back for closing in case anything comes up. They know the process. They
don't like to work under the gun.
So it is nice because we're able to get them the proceeds. At least at the time when we got the approval, we're going to get the proceeds. That was awesome. Rates were good. As you guys have known, what's happened, the rates over the last few months have not gotten in our favor.
No.
Which is when your rates are higher, obviously it's hurting your debt service coverage ratio. And HUD has a 1.15 debt service coverage ratio.
So it's a little better than
Conventional,
others.
better than Fannie and Freddie at that point too. It used to be 1.16, 1.17625, 1.18, but they dropped it to 1.15 recently. I think it was last year as well too, because HUD's initiative is to get more housing.
And they understand the rate and market's hurting a lot of things.
So we were able to, everything was looking great, and then rates popped up. And last time we got a quote on the rate from the lender, it was 5.8. We're like, ooh. That changed the proceeds from 9.8 and change down to 9 million and change. We're like, ooh, that's a big change in proceeds, which changes their cash out that they were expecting on the loan. We're like, this is not, that's before all the closing costs and everything come into play, and there's a decent amount of closing costs that goes into a HUD loan. So we're like, this kind of sucks. So there is an option with HUD to buy down the rate.
Which we don't generally see that in the commercial world.
No,
very,
so
very much.
you could throw as many points at it as you want to buy down the rate. Where actually our HUD lender said it was a construction deal, they had somebody pay 10 points recently to buy down the rate. We're like, ooh. So that's 10% of the loan amount. So for our client, we're speaking at under a $10 million deal. It's a $9 to $10 million deal. To get the price that we want to maximize LTV up to 80%, we would have to buy down the rate by 6 points, which is somewhere around just shy of $600,000 when the max proceeds were there. So you're going, why would anybody do that? But their cash out proceeds went up by $250,000 after paying for that fee.
So they netted up $250,000.
Higher in proceeds, which gives them more capital to be able to go into the other phases. So this kind of makes sense, but some people conventionally would go back, why would you do that? You're paying this money. It's going to take you years to earn that back. What's your advantage? You're just eating up your equity. Well, it depends on what you're trying to do. And if you're holding this long term, it pays itself back.
Right.
So we went from a 5.8 down to 5.06.
Ooh.
Fixed for 35 years. Few advantages are you get the additional capital up front.
Right.
The other advantage is if you were to sell this, you have a higher loan amount already, so it's less capital for someone to bring to the table to buy it. And is at a good, favorable rate. 5.06 in most rate environments, minus what we were in 21, is a really solid investment.
Yeah.
And the loans are assumable from a buyer's perspective, as what you just mentioned. So a buyer can assume that loan and have very favorable terms on that loan going forward.
Yeah, the loan terms don't have to change as long as the gap from whatever you bought it for and the loan amount.
Correct. So you have some advantages there to buyers if you were to sell it.
So tell me a little bit more about what you would do if you had to sell it before, why you shouldn't do that on a HUD loan because of the prepayment penalty.
There's a 10-year prepayment penalty, declining 10% year one, 9%. That's the typical one. You can do a rate at a few-year lockout. There is other ways to change the prepayment, but the typical one out the board is 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
So they're heavily incentivizing you to stay in it for at least 10 years.
Yeah, because this is a bond that's sold, and the Wall Street investors are buying it, so they need to maintain that yield back for the investors.
Exactly. So let's talk through what are the main differences between like a HUD loan for this type of product, agency, and bank. What are the main differences we see?
One thing is bank loans are typically recourse,
Yep.
where agency, which includes HUD in here, is non-recourse loans with a bad boy carve-out. Mention that again, bad boy carve-out. Yes, women are not bad people, just men.
Just the men.
But bad boy carve-out, so it's non-recourse with a bad boy carve-out, which means if you are doing any fraud, if you've lied on paperwork, misrepresented anything, that's where that bad boy carve-out can come in and still make you personally liable for the debt.
Stealing money from your property, any of that type of stuff.
So there are those few factors that go into play, but it's non-recourse. And this is a 35-year fixed rate for the refinance program. So longer than Fannie and Freddie, which is 30 years. So you have 5 extra years there, which helps your debt service, a lower debt service to at 1.15, where Fannie and Freddie are 1.25 at their best. So you have some of those advantages back there.
It's a give and take. Like you said, that the HUD uses a 7% vacancy, whereas agency will use 5%. So it changes a little bit, and that's why it's important to have.
But the 1.15 debt service helps out a lot.
Makes up a lot.
35-year AM, an extra 5 years, all those things.
You said even up to 40, I think, too.
If you're doing a construction, if it's a straight brand new construction project, they're using it for construction.
When would you not recommend someone use a HUD loan?
Or their short-term and long-term strategy is not to just build and hold. You know, if you know you're going to flip this property in 3 years, probably not worth going through the cost, the time, and then the prepayment penalties sitting out there to just hold it for 3 years under a HUD program. And you're not looking for max proceeds.
Right.
If you're like, I'm good with 65% LTV, HUD's not probably your program for you.
Right. Anything else to wrap up on? I feel like we covered a lot on it. It's a unique deal type.
You know, HUD is, like I said, it's becoming more popular. We're working on multiple HUD deals right now, and a lot more interest in the HUD because of where the rates are and where you can get higher proceeds out. So that is why it's become a very popular item, and some of the changes they've continued to make to the product. You know, the only nuances you have to worry about is the extra environmental reporting, the critical repairs, those factors that you need to worry about that you're like, oh, I wasn't expecting this. Well, here's what you're going to expect going into it. Here's all the hoops you got to jump through. Are you ready to jump through all those hoops to get this financing? And you probably shouldn't have a gun against your head that you need to refinance off other debt, because it's not going to go the way you want it to go.
And you're generally not going to get some seller to sell it to you as your purchase transaction with it.
And close in 90 days. You know, it's not going to happen.
Or wait around for you to close in 6 months. We wanted to talk about this just because it's a one where we're seeing it a lot, and it's another one of the types of agency type debt. We get a lot of people asking us agency debt or outside of the conventional sources, and we felt like we just needed to educate you guys a little bit on this. So, any final thoughts?
No, I would say if you have questions about HUD, if you want to compare it back to Fannie, Freddie, and bank conventional financing, I recommend just give us a shout. Let us run some numbers for you. We can get at underwriting back through one of our conduits, which we have a great one that we've been working with. We can show you what it's going to look like and let you know how it's going to help you or hurt you.
Mm-hmm. And see if it's the right fit. And that's the biggest thing we do here is trying to find the right fits. There's not always a loan that's perfect for everyone or a lender that's perfect for everyone. It's finding the right deal with the right lender and making the marriage happen. So thank you guys. Hope you enjoyed the podcast, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week, guys.